Julian Assange was arrested this morning by British police at the Embassy of Ecuador. According to Metropolitan Police, he is now in custody at a central London police station before his first court appearance. Police were invited into the Ecuadorian Embassy there following the government's withdrawal of asylum. The WikiLeaks founder has been holed up there since 2012 amid an active warrant against him for failing to comply with his bail terms in a separate legal case.
So Willie, I don't really follow the news, and in my line of business, you don't have to. So this Assange thing has not been. I've heard, I've seen a tweet on it, and then I've gone on and looked at Red Sox tweets about how miserable our season started. But I haven't really followed this closely. So what's been happening leading up to this?
Well, let's go to Ken Delaney.
You notice, I assume that you have been keeping
Well, I'm much closer than you, it would seem, but I think Ken Delaney has been following this latest development closest of all of us. Obviously, this has been ongoing since 2012, Ken, that Julian Assange has been in that Ecuadorian embassy, granted asylum there in London. Why was that asylum lifted overnight?
Well, it's not entirely clear, Willie, but the president of Ecuador tweeted that Assange had repeatedly violated diplomatic convention, and therefore they've withdrawn his asylum. There have been reports for some time that Assange was had outlived his welcome there in the embassy for all sorts of reasons, including that his cat had been making a mess and that he was skateboarding in the halls and stealing Wi-Fi. So, the Ecuadorians were getting sick of having him there. But there's more serious issues at play. Obviously, there is a grand jury investigation into Assange in the Eastern District of Virginia. And we learned back in the fall that there were charges filed against Assange filed under seal that was inadvertently revealed by mistake by the Justice Department when a lawyer put Assange's name in a filing by accident. But ever since then, it's been pretty clear that the plan has been for the U.S. and Britain to work out a way to get Assange. We believe that he will be extradited back to the U.S. That's certainly what our sources are suggesting here. The question I had in my mind was, how are they going to get him out of the embassy? Now we have our answer. Ecuador simply just said, enough with you, you're done, and the British police walked in and arrested him.
So just to refresh viewers' memory, because this has been going on for almost a decade now, if you go back to then Bradley Manning, now Chelsea Manning, working with Assange on leaking those documents, forward all the way through to the 2016 presidential campaign where Assange, not directly linked because he was in the embassy, but WikiLeaks working allegedly with Russians to get the DNC emails during that campaign.
Yeah, so WikiLeaks began as a transparency organization, and publishing those documents leaked by Chelsea Manning, who was in Iraq at the time with the U.S. Army. And at the time, WikiLeaks was viewed as sort of an independent organization, basically holding governments accountable. And many news media organizations published those materials, and we learned a lot about the United States. There was famously a video of a helicopter attack in Iraq that drew a lot of criticism. But over the years, it became clear that WikiLeaks was growing ever closer to Russia, and that all the leaks seemed to go in one direction. There were never leaks that criticized authoritarian governments, only the West and the United States. And at some point, the U.S. government, even during the Obama administration, began concluding that WikiLeaks was essentially acting as an arm of Russian intelligence. And then you get to the election. WikiLeaks was the recipient of leaked, hacked Democratic emails. And we'll all remember that Donald Trump cited WikiLeaks more than 130 times during the campaign because they were publishing DNC emails that were embarrassing to the Democrats. They were clearly helping with this Russian election interference effort. And then the U.S. Intelligence Committee weighed in and said that was not by accident. They knew what they were doing. They were acting as an instrument of this Russian interference effort. Now, this investigation, though we believe dates back to the earlier leaks of classified information, it's not clear whether it also deals with the 2016 election.
So, Caddy, did the British government long consider Assange to be a menace in their own country?
Look, he's always been a problem for them because what they want is they wanted to get him out of the country. Initially, there was that case from Sweden where he was wanted in connection with sex crimes, and the Swedish government wanted him. The question was always how to get him from the Ecuadorian embassy to Heathrow Airport to get him out of the country. Now it seems we've had a build-up of police, I understand, outside the Ecuadorian embassy over the last few days. Reporters have said that they've seen more British police on the steps of the Ecuadorian embassy And so we had wondered whether something like this was going to happen. In the end, it happened pretty clearly. The Ecuadorian embassy fed up with him. They said that he had violated some of the terms of his conditions of living in the Ecuadorian embassy. They'd taken his internet access away from him. He was trying to use that to try and do his own business from the Ecuadorian embassy, and it seems like the Ecuadorians in the end were fed up with him and handed him over to the British police. The question now is going to be, what happens to him? The Swedish have rescinded their request for him. The case isn't closed. I understand that sex crime's closed, but it's either Sweden or the United States. More likely the United States that's going to get hold of him.